Well, hello, it's Brad, and today I'm going to show you how to make barbecue brisket or smoked brisket. So I got a whole one right here. It's let's see, 12 pounds, and the fat hasn't been trimmed off of it. You can get one with you can get them with the fat. You can get smaller ones. You can get them with the fat trim. They're a little bit more expensive. And I think that they trim a little too much off of the brisket. So I don't mind doing it myself. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So I'm going to get it out of the package. The sharp knife ready. Try not to make too much of a mess here. So, getting the right amount of fat, leaving the right amount of fat on the brisket is really important. The fat protects the brisket while it is smoking, keeping the meat from drying out too much, and it also is really, it provides a lot of flavor to the meat. Now, brisket really is better with a little bit of fat left on it. How much kind of depends on from person to person. The other thing is the best part of the brisket, in a lot of people's opinions, and maybe mine, I mean, I like the whole thing, but is the outside or the bark. Most of the fat on the brisket is on the outside. In fact, on most pieces of brisket, there is a nice little thin strip of fat on top. So you want to get just the right amount that after it's done smoking, that you don't have to trim it off, trim any fat off, or pull any fat off later, so that the crust stays on each piece. That's why it's important to trim not too much, the right amount at the start before you put your seasonings on. It can be kind of hard. This end, the thicker end right here is called they call it the fat cap. And let's see, there's actually 3 muscles to a brisket. There's this flat blade right here. And then there's 2 more in the fat cap. There's one triangular piece right here, and this piece, I was gonna get the book out to show, because I don't remember off the top of my head where the brisket is on the cow. Let me do that. So this book is a nice book. It was recommended by people who, when I would watch the Food Network, it was popular for a little while, recommended, so I got it. Asked for it for Christmas, and I got it. It has a really nice picture of where the cuts of meat are on the animal. That's one of the good things about this book. It's kind of what's the word? Kind of overhyped, but it's still a good book. There's nice recipes, nice pictures, interesting story. We can find. Let's see. So the brisket is sort of the chest of the cow, right here, right behind its front legs. And I was looking, because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it might be that this place right here is also called the tri-tip. I don't want to get that wrong. But as I was thinking about it, it might be. Maybe I'll look at it another time. Somewhere there's a tri-tip here, the triangle. Maybe that's not it. Which is one of the things about brisket is it's notoriously a tough piece of meat. And I guess between the the shoulders, it gets a lot of work out between the front legs. So the process for cooking brisket, for smoking brisket, is low and slow. So you get a nice tender piece. You can also just fry it up in a hamburger too. I'm pretty sure you could do that. Anyway, let's get some of this fat off. I think I'm going to split this into 2 pieces because there's simply too much to eat. For the people here, I'll be able to see the fat better and trim it better. And it's split. So this kind of looks like bacon. That's too much. And you can see there's this is really on the outside, but it does reach into the interior. That I might cut a little bit of that off. That's kind of annoying. It's kind of hard to deal with. But it is not the same thickness all the way through. It's really thin on the opposite side, and this is really thick. So I'm going to try to leave, let's see, a thin layer. I'm going to cut maybe half an inch off of this front half. I'm going to try. And I'm going to leave, even though this could be a little unappetizing maybe, it's going to shrink. A lot of the fat is going to render. I'm going to leave that there. This side is also considerably leaner than this side, so it's important to leave enough fat on this side, on this piece. This is the side that gets dry and tough. This side usually makes the more effortless, tasty brisket. Well, this one usually makes the more picture perfect, but usually dries out and is a little tougher. So that was this is probably a pound of fat. A nice handful. You can render this down into cracklings, or you could grind it up for fat in, say, sausages, or you could give it to chickens and dogs. There's a few different things you could do. I'm gonna save it for now because I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with it. See all this? You might not be able to see. It can be kind of sneaky here. Meat's here, and this is a hard piece of fat, but it starts to change. So it thins out, and now there's quite a bit of meat hiding under there. You kind of have to guess a little bit. And even though it does go into the interior, it doesn't go that deep. Like it's shallow here and it's deeper over here, but it's it doesn't go all the way. 3/4 of an inch off that. Kind of reshaped it a little bit. I'm going to say that's good. The next step is to season it. So, this is my dad's recipe. Although he tweaked it a bit. When we first moved here to Texas, my dad thought he would he would be a better Texan if he learned how to smoke brisket. And so he found this recipe in the back of some grilling magazine or some barbecue magazine a really long time ago, almost 30 years ago. And he tried it out, tweaked it several different times. We went through several different iterations of it being either too hot or too smoky or whatever. But the base, and he finally narrowed it down to it's a really simple recipe. Really simple. And that is a 1/4 cup of salt, kosher salt. So yeah, this thing. One and 1/2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper. Tablespoons. 1/2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons of black pepper. So it's actually fresh cracked black pepper. And this is it's important. It makes the difference that it's fresh cracked. Makes a huge difference in the final flavor. The already ground stuff, even the coarse ground stuff, it has lost some of the phenolic compounds, the resinous, peppery flavor quality that you just can't get unless it's fresh cracked. And so the other thing is it's not finely ground. It's just a rough crack. I'll show you. I've got a mixed blend in here, but it could work, but you really just want to use plain, fresh, cracked black pepper. The other colored peppercorns, they do have a slightly different taste, and it's not what I'm looking for in this. Basically, you want the crack to sort of break the peppercorn into 3 or 4 pieces. And that's it. Yeah. So I'll try to show you. It's kind of hard. Not good. It's just like this is not working very well. It's in small pieces, like, take a peppercorn and in 3 or 4 pieces, cracked. Sometimes they crack in half. Sometimes they crack a little bit like lopsided. You will get finer grinds as the cracks go through the grinder, but ultimately you want largest chunks. They're even more coarse than the coarse grind that you buy at the store, and it helps as with the kosher salt and the crushed red pepper. It helps capture the extra surface area, helps capture exposed surface area, helps capture the smoke and sort of make it stick onto the brisket. And that's one of the things I'm looking for. It also keeps the flavor from completely disappearing during the process by leaving it in a larger chunk. So normally I would smoke both pieces of brisket at the same time, just because it's faster. It's a lot of meat. Do it all at once. They'll take about the same amount. They're both going to take the same amount of time, even though it's too much to eat. And we'll wrap up one and freeze it. But my dad has been wanting to actually smoke his own brisket, and that's fine. So I just vacuum sealed the thicker end and put it in the freezer. So today we'll just be smoking the flat end. And I have my salt, pepper, and peppercorn mixture. I'm just gonna season the brisket with it, Usually this is done the day of, actually as soon as I get done with this, I'm going to throw it on the smoker. But you might get good results if you did it the night before. That wouldn't be a problem either. And it goes on kind of thick, kind of heavy. The amount for this recipe is not quite enough for both pieces of brisket, in my opinion. It's about enough for one, maybe a little bit, and a little bit more, maybe. Really thick. Like I seasoned my steak really heavily. You also season this really heavily. It's all on the outside, And while the salt will slowly penetrate in, the heat and the peppercorn pretty much stay on the outside. So when you get in theory, the thin cut should be the best, because it has the most skin, or the most outside to the inside. It's got the most bark is what you call it after it's cooked, and that's where all the seasoning is. But you have to cook it carefully and gently so that the meat is still tender and juicy, not dry and tough. This is also could be kind of spicy for some people. It depends on how spicy your crushed red chilies are, but the pepper itself is also, it's a different kind of heat, but when you bite into it, it can be kind of spicy. So that you might, if you make this yourself, you might want to scale back, maybe try it and then scale back, see what you like. I guess you can always change how you do this. You could rub some of the seasoning off. I'm used to it. I like it with a little heat on the outside. I'm losing quite a bit too here, as you might be able to tell. It doesn't all stick. That's okay. Work it in, press it in. It doesn't want to stay in. And there we go. Here, you can see about how thick, how heavily seasoned it is. Like you probably have seen them heavily, like the already seasoned steaks on the meat counter in a grocery store, at a steak restaurant, or like I have a video on how I make steak. You can also see how heavily seasoned that is. Okay, next step is to put on the smoker. All right, I'm out here with my setup. I got a brisket ready to go on the smoker. See the smoke's rolling. Might be kind of hot. So I won't place it as close to the this is the heat box. This side is the heat box. More in the middle. You can feel with your hand, or if you were here, how hot it is. That's too warm right there. I had to start with some hot coals. Needed a good amount because you're gonna put. You do this. You put soaked wood chips in, and you needs a certain amount of initial heat just to keep everything going. So right here is pretty good. So I've got my thermometer here at the top. I think that's good. It might come up a little bit. I think to do this, you want to smoke at 180, 190, below 200 degrees, I think. If I remember right. I don't remember the exact temperature, but I think it's below 200 degrees. So here's the heat box. Let's see, this is a post hole, or like a post slammer hammer. Inside I've got my charcoal, my wood chips, smoking chunks. And it's a little old, it's got some holes in it, so this post hammer kind of keeps the lid tightly shut. Here are the wood chunks getting wet, soaking. This is better done overnight. They last longer the more water they've got in them. But that's okay. Got quite a bit. Got them from HEB. You want to use hickory. Whoa. Definitely want to use hickory. So hickory is our family's wood of choice for brisket. Other people especially around the valley, they prefer mesquite. Now, I don't like mesquite. I think, except for chicken, I guess it's okay with pork ribs too. But it has a sweet, a sweet higher note taste, and I don't think it works very good with beef. But with chicken and pork, it's pretty good. With beef, I like, I guess our family's preference is hickory. It has a really powerful, thick, smoky flavor. Um, Whereas other woods, the pecan is a lighter smoky flavor. You can use cherry wood, which has a similar smoke profile to hickory, although it's a little different, but it's very similar. Applewood, you could use any wood of your choice. I think in the South, hickory is the most common. We're further south in the South, but here mesquite is the most common. But I think hickory is the way to go. Oh, it's been a couple of hours. You know, when you do this, you have to drink a beer. Let's see how it looks. So you can see it's getting some black spots on it. Dark. This kind of dark red, black becomes the smoke ring. Here you can see the this is a piece of fat on the end turning black. I think it's looking pretty good. It's a little hot, but that's okay. It often is. So I'm going to smoke this for another hour or two, and then I'm going to put it in the oven because that has worked better for us in the past. Really, you just need to get the smoke on, and then for us, we can control the temperature better in the oven. So I'll wrap the brisket up in tin foil and then put it in the oven at 225, and it will sit in the oven for like 4 hours, and then it'll come out perfectly tender. It almost always does, with a nice smoke flavor, and it'll be dinner. So see you then. So it's been 4 hours, about 4 hours, and the brisket is done smoking. You can see it. It's pretty good, nice and black. You can see kind of the it takes on like a shiny, but kind of shiny. The juice tastes good. Anyway, so now it needs to go into the oven for, well, ideally for 4 to 6 hours. I've got it at 235, but we might be eating sooner. Just can't wait that long today. Anyway. I'm going to wrap it in foil and seal the juices inside. So we got it all wrapped up. It's ready to go in the oven. Be ready to eat in another 2 or 3 hours. Okay, it's been 3 hours since I took the meat off the smoker, and it's been in the oven at 235. Let's see how it is. Kitchen is kind of filling up with smoky smell of the brisket. That's normal. There's quite a bit of fat that is rendered. And I wrapped it up pretty good. So I'm gonna have to pour it off now. Oh no, no, oh no. All over the counter. That's not supposed to happen. Anyway. Seems pretty tender. That's pretty tender to me. Yeah. So you can see the smoke ring and that layer of fat on top right there. That's good. Good. Nice pink color. Here, let me get the light. Nice pink color, kind of like bacon. And then there's the fat, a little bit of fat on top. That might have been be a little too much, but whatever. That's better. Good taste test. It's pretty good. Moist. All the flavor of the seasonings. It probably could go another hour. Be just a little bit more tender, but this is fine. All right, so I'm plating up dinner. We got a classic mustard potato salad, homemade pickles, homegrown onions. I made this. This is charo beans. It's really popular dish that goes with barbecue, especially in South Texas, all across the state. Pinto beans with tomatoes, cilantro, chunks of brisket, and everyone makes it a little differently. It's really good. A toasted bun. Let's see. A couple pieces of thinly sliced brisket. And then I have, I just had it out. Just had it out. Oh. So then I have some Franklin's barbecue sauce that I think my mom got on sale. You might not know this. Franklin's is one of the most famous, and a lot of people would say one of the best barbecue places in Texas. I think they have. I've never had it, so, and I'm not sure that they would say that their sauce is the best. A lot of barbecue aficionados would say that they don't need sauce at all, but I have some. They're based in Austin, and a lot of every food writer across the state has to say something about Franklin's. Yeah. Anyway, so I have some sauce here warmed up because it's better warm. Just most barbecue sauces lukewarm or even hot on top of the brisket. Not cold out of the fridge, no. This onion on, pickle. Take a bite. That's pretty good. I think anyone would be happy to get that if they were going for barbecue. Well, see you next time.